Hi guys, no intro, let's get going. Don't ask me how I knew, but I knew this was coming. The plan was for me to continue with the deposition, but this popped up sooner than I expected. So I'm going to jump ahead and deal with Andrew and his predicament first. Okay, deep breath, and here goes. We are still with Johanna Schoberg and her deposition, as it appears that her deposition formed the largest part of the released documents. Well, that is until more is released, and according to what I can see and read, there are more pieces to come. So Schoberg said that Prince Andrew put his hand on her breast at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2001. Johanna Schoberg said Prince Andrew put his hand on her breast in order to pose for a photo with Epstein, Giuffre, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Schoberg also said that the photo included a puppet that said Prince Andrew on it. In her testimony, Joanna Schoberg said, I sat on Andrew's lap and I took the puppet's hands and put it on Virginia's breasts. So Andrew put his hands on mine. Now, this allegation was previously reported by the Mirror in 2020. Since then, Andrew had been stripped of most of his royal titles due to his association with Epstein. He has also settled a civil lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre for an undisclosed sum, but still denied any wrongdoing. And that is the word we are going to talk about here today, namely wrongdoing. There are two ways at, or two levels of, or two considerations when it comes to wrongdoing. In this case, there is the legal and then there is the moral. In my opinion and in my heart, I feel that if Andrew did what Johanna and Virginia said he did, then as far as I'm concerned, he is a dirty old man, a real old groper who needs a good slap on the hand for groping. And if he did have carnal relations with a 17-year and 8-month-old at the age of 45, then I can't help but taste a little bile coming from the back of my throat. Now please note that their testimony, or the testimony that we are talking about here, is contained in two separate depositions. One is Joanna's and another Virginia's in her defamation case against Ghislaine Maxwell. So, in other words, I'm now combining these two depositions. Now, like I also just said, as a mother, as a woman, thinking of a 45-year-old Andrew and a 17, nearly 18-year-old girl, I do feel a bit bilious, okay? Particularly also knowing that he was a father of two daughters of about 12 and 14 at the time. Okay, so far we are in agreement that if the man did what is said he did, then it is rather gross. And as a mother, as I said, of two daughters, I actually feel more empathy and sorrow for Andrew's daughters than I do for Joanna Schoberg and Virginia Giuffre. Actually, far, far more. And here is why. Johanna Schoberg, by her own admission, was 20 years old when she joined Epstein and Maxwell. Not a kid and not illegal. And she wasn't abducted, abused, or hurt in any way, nor was she held captive and forced. By her own admission, not only were they paid in the region of $200 or more per session, be it massages or whatever else, but Jeffrey Epstein also paid for her tuition to become a qualified hairdresser, and today she owns an upscale salon. When it comes to Virginia Giuffre, as much as we as mothers and women want to protect our girls, as much as we want to be outraged at what Virginia did at a young age, and as much as we want to cry in outrage, the facts tell us something completely different. Years before Virginia was recruited by Maxwell, she had run away from home and took up with a man who was later charged with various counts of trafficking and pimping, to be blunt. It was her older brother who pulled her out of there and who took her off to a rehab, and whereafter she returned to her father, who got her a job at Mar-a-Lago, where obviously she ran into Maxwell, and the rest is history. Well, history according to Virginia. The point I'm trying to make is that this wasn't Virginia's first rodeo. She wasn't ignorant or then innocent. And the facts are, just like Johanna Schoberg, she was paid handsomely for whatever task she performed for Epstein. Like Johanna, Epstein also paid her to better herself, and it was on one of those trips to do a course in massage therapy that she met her husband and decided not to return. And Jeffrey Epstein wished her luck. He did not ask for his money back, nothing. Just good luck and goodbye. So, morally, where Andrew is concerned, I am appalled and a little grossed out. Where these two women, however, are concerned, not so much. I wonder if we were to do a poll, how many men out there had lost their jobs, their income, and their lives for copping a feel on a 21 or 22-year-old. Okay, now, I know it sounds gross, but how many hands have been smacked at work parties? How many guys have been punched in a bar by a boyfriend? It happens, and sometimes it is indeed gross and misogynistic, etc. And sometimes it is drunken behavior, and sometimes it is indeed the result of flirting from both sides, or even flirting from the girl's side. I mean, let's be realistic here. I am willing to bet that Johanna Schoberg wasn't the first 22-year-old to be groped. And do I think it is right or cool? No, obviously I don't. But if you keep certain company, dress, and act in a certain way, like sitting on someone's lap, then I also guess it should not come as a surprise. Okay, now I know some purple-haired ladies and some braless Me Too protesters are now as mad as hell at me. So let's rather talk about the legality of it all. In 2015, Virginia Giuffre made a criminal complaint to Scotland Yard against Epstein and Maxwell, alleging non-recent trafficking for sexual exploitation. The force spent a year examining the complaint and in November 2016 decided not to proceed with the inquiry. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that Virginia left Epstein and Maxwell behind in 2003 already and only brought the complaint 12 years later. Well, I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe it also has something to do with the fact that she was on a course to become a professional masseuse, a trip paid for by Epstein, when she met a guy, married him within 10 days, and returned to Australia with him, which swayed them just a little not to proceed. Again, guys, I'm just thinking aloud. And notably, Virginia did not file a complaint against Prince Andrew at the time, the very person whom she still alleges abused her in Maxwell's home in London for the first time when she was 17 years and 8 months old. And I'm adding the 8 months because it is important. Maybe Scotland Yard also did not proceed against Epstein and Maxwell because in 2009 an agreement was reached between Epstein and Giuffre in which Epstein agreed to pay her $500,000 and other valuable consideration, which we do not know what that particularly included. Anyway, that was paid on condition that, and I quote, upon taking effect, it will remise, release, acquit, satisfy, and forever discharge anyone who could be a potential defendant from state or federal lawsuits filed by Giuffre. Now, guys, I am just saying, just thinking out loud again. And that, my dears, is why Virginia could not and still can't really sue for any supposed abuse or then RAPE. But her lawyer did find a loophole and sued Andrew for sexual assault and emotional distress. However, Andrew should never, never, ever, ever have settled. He could not lose. And to this day, I wonder who convinced him to actually settle and what this person's agenda really was. I think I know, but I also know that you guys will hate me if I share my thoughts on this with you. So think about it and make up your own mind. Okay, so now with these documents released, we have a couple of entities jumping on the bandwagon. And this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This is exactly what I meant when I said I knew it was coming. Okay, so the one entity being Republic, an anti-monarchy group who now went ahead and made a formal police complaint claiming the files contained new details of sexual assault and RAPE allegations. So let's pause with Republic. I know, and when I say I know, I say that in inverted commas because it's an online thing. I know a couple who joined Republic, and I have indeed listened to their arguments. And to be brutally honest with you, there are things in their anti-monarchy rhetoric that I absolutely 100% understand and agree with. But of course, there are numerous other things I do not agree with. And at this point, I do not believe that Britain should become a republic and abolish the monarchy. But that indeed is a discussion for another day. My acquaintances also understand and respect my arguments for a monarchy. With Republic's complaint to Scotland Yard, Sir Keir Starmer was asked whether he thinks the force should investigate further, and basically he agreed that the allegations be re-looked at. Now, with all due respect to Sir Keir Starmer and Republic, I think you have shit for brains. What on earth do you wish to investigate? Epstein is dead, allegedly. Maxwell serving 20 years in the United States, and Virginia had now been paid two settlement amounts, one for $500,000, and God alone knows how much Andrew paid exactly. But I understand that it is a couple of million. And even if these multiple settlements do not count for anything, then what exactly do you want to charge anyone, let alone Andrew, for? What Scotland Yard, Republic and Keir Starmer should go read is their own law from their own government website. I'm reading. The age of consent in England and Wales is 16. This is the age when young people of any sex, gender or sexual orientation can legally consent to taking part in sexual activity. Blah, blah, blah. You get the drift. Virginia was 17 years and 8 months when she supposedly met Andrew in London. And then the exchange of sexual services for money is legal in the United Kingdom, but the following activities are illegal under the Sexual Offences Act 2003. Soliciting on the street or other public places, paying for the services of a sex worker who's forced or threatened into it, owning or managing a brothel, pimping, and advertising services. Okay, now none of these would apply to the Andrew Virginia scenario, except that she has been trying and have failed numerous times to prove that she was forced or threatened. Although her father had changed his tune a few times, the initial interviews still exist in which he told how she still came home some weekends, how she lied to him, and how she told him how happy she was working for Epstein and Maxwell as she was learning and traveling while getting paid. Now, I don't know about you, but that does not sound forced to me. So what exactly Republic and Keir Starmer want Scotland Yard to investigate this time? I have no idea, unless they can prove that Andrew was actively involved with trafficking. They are wasting their time and are being ridiculous. What came out of these depositions now are nothing new and date back to 2001, 22 years ago. Virginia also alleged that besides meeting and having relations with Andrew in London in March 2001, she also met him in New York and in Little St. James, obviously a couple of months after this initial meet in London, and thus likely after she turned 18. So I think Republic should rethink this before they make fools of themselves again. Like I said, there are things I agree with when it comes to Republic, but the way they go about things are losing them support. It hinges on the naive and childish and grabbing at straws. Besides, what will they achieve by discrediting Andrew further? Absolutely nothing. Why then not, using the same effort and argument, ask Scotland Yard to investigate Charles's relationship with Savile and Ball? At least for Republic, that would make sense. If their aim is to abolish the monarchy, go for its head. Don't go for someone who's now supposedly already retired and plays no role in the actual monarchy and its workings. I mean, what do you guys say? Do you agree? Okay, guys, so that was a mouthful for one day. So I'm going to say goodbye to you for today. Tomorrow I'm going to bring you something different concerning Meghan Markle. So until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.